Well, alrighty, here we go. Some people had asked how I did the video for Hunter, so I thought instead of trying to explain it by writing it all out, I would just go ahead and do a quick video and explain it that way. So, I'll make this as quick and concise as I can. I work in Power Director 365, mostly because it's just what I'm used to. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to show you is actually the last thing I shot, which was the video intro, and basically just set up my camera behind me and, you know, said a bunch of stuff because that's what I do, and tried not to be too boring with it. But went ahead and shot that, stuck it on here at the beginning, then went in and added this ripple effect right here, just kind of dragged it down from the effects. So it was one of these. See all the effects, pretty. Alright, then I spaced it to where it rippled out just as the other one came in. Alright, then we go to the first thing that was added, which was actually the music. So I recorded that in BandLab, which is Cakewalk. Used to be Sonar, now it's BandLab. And basically blended the original recording with the backing track that I got from the warning through Patreon, which had no vocals in it. So it had a couple of the backups, but I went ahead and blended both the original and that so that I could just take out the vocals where I needed them to, and then made it match up through the software to where it sounded the same. And then of course recorded just the alley lead part and Pal's backups. Alright, so exported that, brought it into the program, and that of course is what I synced all the video up to. Next thing I added in, if you see little notifications pop up over here, it's because I just got this Wacom tablet installed, and for some reason it keeps popping up notifications. Don't know why. Alright, so next thing I put in, turn this off, cancel. Alright, there we go. Next thing I did was put in a background. What I did was went in Photoshop and I had a part where Ale walked over to this microphone, so I was able to get this side of the cave without her in it. And then I did another screenshot that was when Paulina walked over here, so I was able to get her out from behind the drum set, because of course I'm going to have to put myself in behind the drum set. Another tricky thing. So there she is. She walked over there, and look how much shorter she is than Danny. Oh my goodness. Perspective is a wonderful thing. So merge those two together, and I only needed this side, was going to be covered up by the other video, so I didn't need to clear it out as well. Alright, so I did all that. Then the next step was to add in the actual video. Now, the reason you only see Danny is went into Mask Designer. What Mask Designer does is it tells you what area you can see on the screen. And all of these little things here are keyframes of me moving the mask around. So if I move across here, you'll see, alright, there's the mask, and I had to move it whenever Danny moved so that it stayed up ahead of where she was and blocked out the parts that I would be in later, but allows the background to show through. Now this was fairly tricky because she moved around a lot in this video, which is one of the reasons I like it so much, because it really makes her look like she's being entertained and interacting with me being in there. Which, let's face it, Danny's just happy and entertained all the time. So that's a good thing for all of us. Alright, so that's what I did with the mask. Just kind of had it move around as I needed it. We will cancel changes because we don't want them showing up. Alright, next thing I did was I had to make the drum set show up on its own layer. Now, if I turn off the background and turn on the drum set, nope, wrong one. There we are. Alright, what I did here was I went into Mask Designer, and down here, let me find my mask I made. Oh, how odd, it's not in there anymore. I just updated my 365, so some things are there and some things are not that were there before. Anyway, what I had to do was go through and basically draw around the drum set and make a mask to make sure that nothing behind it showed. And that way, when I'm playing the drums back there, you can see me through all these little sections. Here, let me zoom in. You can see me through all of this, and that will take care of that. Now I had to get rid of the symbols because I knew I was going to be adding symbols in for me to hit, but they show up on the background, you know, they just don't move. So that works for that. Alright, so now I've got a drum set and I've got a background. So now it's all set for me to start inserting myself. Alright, so next thing I had to do was shoot me playing bass and singing. Now, as far as that part goes, here is the video I shot, which I had to throw things together, just kind of light it. Here are my notes hanging over here so that I could give myself cues of what Allie's saying in different parts and what little movement she's doing, just to kind of prompt myself, which is handy because this would have been where Mom was sitting, back over here. So set that up, did the green screen, did all of that, shot the whole video. And for shooting this video, because everything has to be in one take, it took me, let me count up over here, I've got my, it's not on this computer, it's on the other one. It took me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 takes to get it in one shot, because it had to be start to finish, because I couldn't have it have a little cut mark in there. So it took me 13 times shooting this. Alright, so then what you have to do is go in and on here, instead of doing a, hold on, sometimes the computer lags because there's so much going on. Alright, then here I had to go to Pip Designer. And what you're doing in here is, this is green screened. You know, you saw in the other part that it was all green. So here we go. There it is with the green. You have to select the colors. Try to get rid of as much of the edges and things as possible. If you notice right here on the base, there's a whole bunch of green on the edges. Get rid of those edges. Try and do a little bit of blurring, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then all of that is removed. And then I also did a mask that basically covered all the rest of the area and got rid of it where the green wasn't. Hopefully you're following all of that. I assume you are. So now that allowed me to be in there. Okay, I'm going to turn the mask designer on. And there was the mask I used. Boom! Look at that, gone. So now you'll notice that it's only showing me in front of the background and Danny's not there. So then we got that step done. So I'm not sure why it's still showing this in here, but you know what? Let me just go ahead and apply that. If I hadn't just updated, all this would already be done, but you know, since I did, it isn't. I do that, say okay. There we go. Now I'm out of there. Okay, now we get to the drums. This was extremely tricky. Alright, for masking, come on, there we go. For masking, what I had to do was draw basically all around here to get rid of what was green screened. It's not showing that one, but that's okay. So anyway, I did the same steps that I did on the other one. And then went into Pip Designer, which is picture in picture for those who don't know. Alright, and you'll notice on here I did 3 different green colors. There. So there's a little mask I drew because I had to allow for my arm coming up here when she does the run part. I had to allow for the sticks to be able to hit the cymbals and all of that. So, and my leg didn't really move much, so I went ahead and just did a mask around that. So now you can see that the part of the drum set is still there showing through the background, but the other one isn't in front of me until I get out of here. So anyway, that one I had to do 3 different colors of green to try and get rid of everything that was around me, like so. Alrighty. So there we go. And if I was to turn off the layer with the drums, you see there I am just sitting there not doing anything. And here, let me show you what the layer with the drums looked like, because that was really pathetic looking. Okay, here we go. I had to really stretch out wide here to be able to get all this. Did some odd setup. There we go. And if you notice, I do have a little strap under my chin, and that's because the wigs have this little thing that you put under the back of your, around the back of your head to hold it all in place. But because I had to merge two wigs together and feed the ponytail through the other wig, it made it to where it wouldn't sit down on my head right, so I had to strap it under my chin to keep it on my head while I moved around so that the ponytail would flop around. And then, of course, I didn't want to have other things here to hit, but I figured, I'm sitting behind her drums, it'll look enough like I'm hitting it, which it turned out to be right. Of course, the snare I did have. Borrowed a couple cymbals from a friend because I have an electronic kit, and shot this. Now, as far as the drums go, that took me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times through. Actually, it took me about 12. But being the cameraman too, I didn't have myself to put focus on. And the first few times I used autofocus and it kept focusing on other things, so I kept going in and out of focus like 3 different times. It was annoying. So finally put it on manual focus and then didn't get it focused because I wasn't there to focus on. So there were 4 wasted takes. Finally I got it. And then, 9 times of trying to get through one performance as well. There you go. Let's see, so now we've got the drums all set. Okay, we did bass, drums, there's that. Now came the hardest part and the most time consuming. So for Danny, oh, I forgot. I also have at the end here, here is the last thing. And this was Danny walking across to give me the high five. All right. So what I had to do in that case, come on, don't hang up on me. There we go. So what I had to do in this case was go in to fix and enhance. All right, and what I've done, I had to go through all the different clips because they don't color match, and try and match up the color and everything on each of the ones I shot to the actual video, which I color corrected to make it a little better because it was very washed out in the original, and it made it hard to do green screen and all with it that washed out. So I punched up all the contrast and the color and made it look deeper so that it would be easier to drop myself into. All right, and then so this part where she walks across, obviously this was going to be the hardest thing because she starts out over there. I could do that with the mask, but then as she walks across right here, I'm going to be back behind this clip, sitting at the drums. But with that being the case, she's got to cross over in front of me. And to make that happen, I had to go into Color Director, which is another part of Power Director where you can do more fine adjustments and things like that. All right, open, open, open. Now I haven't opened this since I just updated today, so hopefully everything will be fine in here. All right, come on. There we go, uploading the project. Now I do have a nice video card and a decent amount of RAM, but these are so many clips, and doing video is so intensive on the computer that it takes time. Okay, so what I had to do here was go through and make what's called a motion mask. And the way you do that is you have the video like I showed you. And you do this mask. Okay, now right now everything's green because after I did the selecting around her with the background and everything there, which I had to go through, and you can select her to start with, and then it tries to follow her across and come back, but it's really sketchy. So then you got to go frame by frame and draw around her and make sure that you don't have things selected that you don't want. So see, I had to leave some things to where it just didn't look so cut out. And then get her hand to where, of course, it looks like she's high-fiving. Luckily, all these things bleeding onto the background don't really matter, because once you green screen out and go into PIP and get rid of the background, obviously the only thing that's showing is her, and she's crossing in front of a background that matches. So that works. Now this probably won't play right. Yeah. Okay. So now you get the idea of how that worked. Now I had to reposition myself to match Allie while she's sitting there and get to where my hand sat, in the right place, because obviously while I was recording it, I couldn't see where Danny's hand would be. So I had to just kind of move me down in the frame so that the hand matched up to high five. I actually considered getting rid of this part because originally I had her on the background and did masking that way. When I moved it to the front to make it easier, I realized I could do the high five part because I really wanted it in there because I thought it was cool. Then as you're doing this, there are so many things, all the different masks moving and all these different things like that. When you export it, it takes 4 hours for it to write the file. Every time you export, then you watch the file and you go, oh man, I missed that symbol that I'm hitting, overlap the other symbol, and then, like this symbol here in places. Here, let me turn her mask back on. For some reason it turned off. Okay, that'll do. That'll do for now. Oh, I see. Okay. So anyway, this symbol that's back here, let me get it to where you can see it a little better. Okay, this symbol, I had one that I hit quite a bit. This one I just totally covered up and used this symbol right here, and that made it easier to hit. Let me just go ahead and go full here so that you can see it bigger. There we go. Okay, this symbol is Paulina's symbol. But in places, I'm actually hitting that symbol. Sorry, it's got a little lag time while it... Okay, this is my symbol. Because at times, I'm hitting it, and it goes up and down a lot more than hers. She has hers very tightly on there, so you hit it, it just goes up and down for a couple, for a second. Mine was a little looser, and it would go up and down, and you can kind of see hers back behind it. See, like right there, it's really moving, and you can see hers back behind there just a little bit. But Danny kept crossing over in front of the symbol, so I had to try and move this symbol back and forth whenever I could show it, where I could hit it, and Danny was over here, I was good. Otherwise, I had to pan across, try not to show Paulina sitting here. That was, of course, a pain. But it's the price of perfection, right? Not that it's perfect, but it was as close as I could get. So anyway, that covers all of that. And the other part is because it was so intensive, I had to do it at a different preview quality, usually on normal. So it would preview it looking like that. And even then, sometimes it was really slow, not in real time, because I'm not a professional video editor. I'm doing a lot of these videos to learn as I go, and that's what I'm doing. So anyway, that's what I had to do it as. It meant that every time I would put it out, I'd find things I missed. Then I'd go in and fix them, put it out again, find something else I missed. Like when Danny walked across to high five, I had one frame that I didn't get Paulina covered up, and she popped up in front of me for just a second. So I had to rewrite it again. By the time I was done, I had put it out 4 times, maybe 5, and that's at 4 hours every time. So obviously, kind of a time suck. But anyway, that is how it all went. Let me close that. I do not want to save my changes. And ultimately, you end up with the video that you saw on YouTube. So that is where we are. Obviously, here is my background for my everyday thing. Luckily, I didn't have it on something inappropriate. That would have been really embarrassing. So, thank you for watching. If you did, hopefully gave you an idea of the amount of time it took me. About 5 days to get all of this done, just because everything just takes so long. I mean, drawing the stuff around Danny was probably 4 hours just to have her cross over, just to do the high five. So anyway, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Warning Army, love all you guys. Warning, definitely love you, or else I wouldn't be doing this, right? So you all have a great day, or night if you're watching this at night. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.